Welcome to this week's installment of Docken's Pro Boss Strats. This week we're going to be covering Baron Geddon. He's the 5th boss in the Molten Core that most raid groups will go after. Baron Geddon is a giant fire elemental, therefore all of his attacks are fire-based. Baron Geddon has approximately 580,000 life. In addition to his auto-attack abilities, he has 4 other abilities he uses to combat the raid group. The first of those being Inferno. It's an area of effect spell that does increasing fire damage with each pulse. The pulses come in about 1 second apart and last for 10 seconds. Damage starts at 500 per pulse and increases by 500 every other pulse. An example is 500, 500, 1000, 1000, 1500, 1500, etc. Baron Geddon will not move while casting this ability, and he will do 6 to 10 pulses each time. In addition to that, he has an ability called Mana Ignite. It's a powerful magic-based dot that removes 400 mana and does 400 damage to the target. Ignite mana lasts for 5 minutes if it is not dispelled. It is very important that this is dispelled from mana users immediately. This attack will affect targets within 35 yards of the Baron himself, and it only affects those who have mana. He also has an ability called the Living Bomb. What this does is turns a player into a living bomb. An effect that cannot be dispelled. The bomb will explode in 10 seconds and cause 3,200 damage to the target affected and the players in the immediate area. It can crit for up to 4,800 damage. The target of the living bomb will also be flung into the air, straight up, and take fall damage upon landing. It's important to try to get against a wall or an overhang if this ability affects you. As well, get away from all the other members in the raid. Another ability he has is Last Service. At 2% health, Baron Geddon will emote, Baron Geddon performs one last service for Ragnaros. You have 5 seconds to kill him before he explodes in a similar fashion to that of the Living Bomb. It will kill anyone in melee range because it does 8,500 plus damage to those in melee range. Other than your normal raid consumables, the only other recommended raid consumable for the Baron Geddon encounter would be to bring several greater fire protection potions, as they're very useful because all of his outgoing damage is fire based. Now here's an overhead map of the room that Baron is in. If you notice the little Baron icon, that's where you're going to want to tank him at, and the black circle would be the main tank. If you see where the X is located, you want to have the entire raid group other than the main tank stacked very tightly right there. Once he's positioned, the melee can go in and begin to attack Baron. When the Baron uses the Living Bomb effect on a member of the raid group, where the small explosion mark there is on that north wall, that's where they're going to want to run. There's a small overhang in that area, and it keeps you from taking full fall damage, as you would shoot upward, hit the roof on the side of the wall, and come back down, and then you would return either A to where the X is if you're a healer or caster, and or if you're a melee, you would then run back over to where the melee are, moving in and out from Baron, trying to avoid the Inferno at the same time. These trash mobs here are not part of the boss encounter. However, they demonstrate an example of something I'd like you to see. If you notice, we're just trying to gather them up. I'm going to banish the earth elementals, get the fire elementals, pull them over so they're facing away from the raid group over top of the lava, so any of their front conal abilities won't affect any of the melee that are there, keeping them safe. However, if you notice the banished elemental out there, and it has engaged Baron. I run over, I pick up the Baron. Our voice comms are actually broken right now during this portion of this recording, so we were unable to talk, but what I did was I picked him up, pulled him to position. I don't have fire resistance gear on, and I'm waiting for him to do his Inferno ability. There it is. Now if you notice, I run out. I'm taking damage, but it's not overwhelmingly bad. Now when he's not moving, he comes back to me. I pick him up again. Get a little more threat. Back him up, back him up, back him up. Try to get him to position. Now granted right there, I'm a little too close to the raid group. This was by the seat of my pants thing. Wasn't planned for it. But again, he's doing the Inferno. I run out. It's reducing the damage I'm taking. So if you end up in a situation where you pull this boss and you're not quite ready for it, if your main tank has some hit points and he's quick on his toes, you can still make it happen. Unfortunately, as you can see, without being able to voice communicate with each other, a couple other things had happened. People start dying. My positioning was off a little bit. And we unfortunately did not do this encounter successfully. However, you can see, look at his health. If you're prepared and the positioning is a little bit better, this is a completely viable way to do it. Now, here's another example of the Baron encounter. They pull him. Notice their positioning. They face him over away from the raid. Everybody's kind of stacked up here. Not as tightly as they could be, but they're stacked up. I got to run in and drop totems. Throw a couple of heals. But as long as you're over in this area, you're away from the Inferno ability. And you see the skull marker there? That individual has the bomb effect on him. They're running over to the wall you could see in the previous excerpt. They explode over there, and he's coming right back. Now you see the red fiery glow that's hitting the raid group, kind of like a wave of it. That's the Ignite Mana ability. It's landing on those who have mana and chewing it away. Inferno again, the melee have run out. Melee are back in. Now it is possible for the tank to become the human bomb, and if he is, what you want to do is you want to have all the melee run out, and you just spam heal the tank as hard as you can, and that way he stays up. Thanks for watching.